Since I've been at RGL Forensics, I've had the opportunity to work on a lot of personal injury cases. I had such a case a few years ago where the plaintiff had a hobby of shooting flintlock guns and rifles, and in that hobby you have to pack your own cartridges to fire with the 1800s era rifles and guns. And at some point along the way, he purchased from an individual a small company where he could make the ammo for certain guns. At one point, he borrowed my client, the defendant's 1800 era replica Henry repeating rifle. He was testing out some new ammunition, and in the process of testing the ammunition on about the 50th pull of the trigger, the barrel exploded on his hand, causing significant damage to his hand. As a result of those injuries, he sued my client, the manufacturer of the gun, and said that it significantly impacted his business. He had hired a very competent expert who had a lot of experience in testifying, and the expert prepared a calculation of damages for multiple millions of dollars. And I was retained to review both the claim made by the plaintiff as well as rebut the calculations done by the opposing expert. Now, from an accounting standpoint, we looked at the accounting documents, and what we found was that the individual that hurt his hand within 6 weeks of the accident had purchased airline tickets, hotel, car, and licensing so he could go duck hunting with his largest client. He said that he couldn't go out and participate in these shooting events because of the significant injury to his hand. Well, by going through the accounting records, we had noted that he, in fact, belonged to a gun club and he continued to pay the dues after the loss event. And in fact, when we went online and went to that gun club, they happened to record the scores from the weekly or monthly events. And therefore, what we did was we tracked on a graph the plaintiff's shooting averages before the loss event, but I would say within 6 weeks, he was back shooting based on these reports, and in fact, his shooting improved. His expert had used ammunition sales that were based on traditional ammunition that sold, for instance, the AK-47, the Glocks, the 38 Smith & Wessons, the 44 Magnums. At the end of the day, that's not what this guy sold. This guy was selling to a very small, finite group of people who used flintlock guns and specially made cartridges for their guns. In rebutting the opposing expert, I think the jurors were able to quickly understand that the assumptions that were relied upon were faulty, and therefore his calculations were also faulty.